The Secrets of Movies and TV Shows is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
You're listening to The Secrets of Movies and TV Shows. Hi, I'm Thomas Salerno, and you're listening to The Secrets of the Peanuts TV Specials, where we'll be discussing the hidden layers and deeper meanings of these animated films based on the beloved Peanuts comic strip created by Charles M. Schulz. And joining me today on the panel are Shelly Kelly. Hi, Shelly.
Hey, Tom.
And Mike Denz. Hello, Mike.
Good grief, it's great to be here.
Be sure to follow the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And do us a favor, please, by sharing the podcast with your friends. We've got a lot of great movies and shows to discuss in the near future, so stay tuned. And you can follow the show on social media at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia, or on Twitter, where we are at SQPN, or on Instagram, where we are at StarQuest Network. So I think all three of us here, as hopefully our audience is, are huge fans of Peanuts. And there are apparently, according to Wikipedia, 46 TV animated specials, which is just, well, I was going to say it was astounding, but can you really say that? Because the comic strip went on for so long and is so iconic that there must have been such just a wealth of material to draw from. So I actually want to start with kind of like, with just asking you guys, how did you get into Peanuts? Was it through these animated shows or through the comic strip or something else? How about you, Mike?
Well, it definitely was through the specials, because I couldn't read when I was first watching them. So I wasn't reading comic strips. I mean, I might have been looking at them, but it was definitely as, you know, a 4, 5, 6-year-old watching these. They had the first few were created before I was born, and then they took a break for me being born. I didn't see any in 70 or 71. I was born in 71, and then they started up after that. So yeah, it was definitely that. But it didn't take long for me to discover once I could read, you know, a few years ago, the strip as well.
And what about you, Shelly? What's your history with Peanuts?
Actually, it's very much in line with Mike. Mike, you and I are about the same age, probably within a few months of each other. And I can't remember a time that Charlie Brown and Peanuts didn't exist. I was trying to remember in preparation for today when I first saw any of these. And the answer is, I don't know. They were the Christmas special that came on ABC. And Mike, you'll remember this. It had that special, and the logo would spin, and it had this music. And the minute it did that, your butt was sitting on the carpet and you didn't move from that television because we didn't have VHS back then.
This is it. You had to watch it once.
Yes, that's right.
And so the snow started falling, and
and you scheduled everything around which night in the TV guide said it was time for those specials. So now I did also have the comics and the comic strips in the newspaper. I read comic strips in the newspapers until newspapers went away, and I never really enjoyed them the same on internet.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I would get the books from the library and read through all the little paperbacks and whatever of the strips, you know, that predated when I started reading them. You know, I had the Christmas. It's Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown. You know, book. You know, the book with it and everything. That. And it was definitely my favorite. And I remember fondly and sadly how Charles Schulz died the day either the day of or the day after. It was right there when the last strip was published. The last original strip was published. Yeah. And he died. I can't remember if it was before, on, or after, but it was within a day. It was amazing. It was like, I did the last strip, and he went to heaven, which St. Charles Schulz. No.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think I'm definitely the youngest person on the panel. So my introduction to Peanuts was via VHS tapes. And so I could watch the Christmas one over and over and over again. You know, we had it on VHS.
Spoiled brat.
I was about to say lucky.
Yeah, it's like, but that was just a staple at our house, obviously. And then, you know, I would always run to, you know, when I was old enough to read, you know, pull the paper from my dad and just rip out the comic strip page and run, and gave him the rest of the paper. And I would, you know, I fell in love with comic strips pretty early, but I kind of gravitated towards Peanuts. And then, you know, when I was a teenager, I kind of, you know, Peanuts wasn't on my radar for a while. But it's funny, like when I got into my 20s, I really started getting into comic strips again, and especially Peanuts. And I started to identify with Peanuts more, you know, with the characters and their struggles. It just seemed so real. And I remember I when I was in college, I read a biography of Charles Schulz. It's actually called Schulz and Peanuts. It's really good. And if you're a fan of Charles Schulz, it has just a ton of fascinating information about him. And yeah, I think as you get older, you look at Peanuts differently than when you did as a kid. You enjoy the same stuff about it. You get that nostalgic feeling, but you also enjoy them differently because you're kind of getting the sort of deeper themes that Schulz is weaving through everything about life and, you know, struggle and loss and all that stuff. But I'm
sorry, with BC, another Christian comic. I mean, they're two funny comics. I think Peanuts was a lot earlier. But if you're familiar with BC, it's with the cavemen.
Right.
It's a very Christian comic too. They'll always have, focus on the death, the crucifixion and resurrection kind of themes around Easter time and stuff. And every once in a while have something like that. And of course, Charles Schulz was a Christian, and he had his theologian Linus, who's my favorite character in there, kind of as the conscience of Charlie Brown at different times. So it's you didn't really necessarily realize it or think about it when you're a kid, but you appreciated it growing up as a Catholic later on, you know, as a Christian. Just, oh, that's nice.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the Christmas special, you know, so iconic. I remember reading in that book that he had to fight to get the gospel and the religious references in that, even that early, because you often hear that, oh, TV was different back then. But the TV executives did not want the gospel in the Charlie Brown Christmas special, and he successfully fought to get it in. And you can't imagine the Christmas special without it, right? I mean, there's that iconic moment. Linus drops the security blanket the minute he starts going through the gospel. Be not afraid.
Be not afraid. And he drops fear. Oh, fear not. Yeah.
Fear not. And down goes the blanket.
Down goes the blanket. Yeah.
I get chills. Just, yeah.
That was the first one. I don't have 46 or 47, but just as a kind of roundabout, like the heyday of these going out, I was researching, and the Christmas one is the original in 65. And as you said, Tom, he fought and said, well, if we're going to do it, this is the way we're going to do it, or we're not doing it, you know. And so he had the gospel in there, and it was awesome. And then the very next year, 66, it was, the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. And those are probably the two, close to the two favorites for a lot of people. I know they're mine.
Yeah. If you've seen any of them, you've seen those two.
Those two. Yeah. And they also
my favorite
featured
too, Mike.
The Christmas one had Linus and Lucy, the song by Vince Guaraldi. I always want to call him Garibaldi. I don't know why. I wasn't even close.
That's Babylon 5.
Guaraldi and Linus and Lucy. The famous theme was during the dance scenes when Charlie Brown got mad during the play. But it was the opening of them going to get the pumpkin in the Halloween one. And then the lesser known You're in Love, Charlie Brown is 67. A Boy Named Charlie Brown, 69. And then I said they took a little break for my birth in 71. And then 72, Soupy Came Home, cried every year. I would see that as a boy. And that was the beginning of the new voices. 72 and 73 with Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So you lost the original voices of, especially Linus and Charlie Brown were really, I don't know. I just love the original voices for those two. Thanksgiving was 73, Easter Beagle 74, Arbor Day. I mean, they were running out of holidays, so they did that in 76. And 76 is the year that Vince Guaraldi died at the age of 47 of a heart attack, very young. Yeah. So I think he was in his 30s when he was composing those. I mean, who doesn't have on their iPod or phone the Charlie Brown Christmas music?
Right. Yeah.
And so Arbor Day was the last one that he was involved with. And then you had First Kiss, Charlie Brown in 77. And that's when I stopped looking at him. But I think it was those 12 years where you really had the big ones, especially like for me, the original voices. And while I'm talking about it, there is a way to talk like they do in Charlie Brown specials, because they had to splice the kids' lines together because they never were able to get them off all at once.
Yes, I remember reading about that.
A really interesting edit when you listen, especially my favorite one is Sally's speech to Charlie or to Linus when she's upset. You know, all I want is what I have coming to me. All I want is my fair share.
Fair share.
You know?
Yeah. I knew it the minute you started. I know exactly where he's going with this one.
Yeah. Those are those spliced together lines that they probably were like, oh, sounds terrible, and it's endearing. I like the way it sounds that way. It sounds kid-like almost, that you would the kid talk. I don't know. So and they actually cleaned that up later on and ruined it. Like the kids got better at their lines. I mean, like the later ones, it's still there in the early ones. I'm just saying, like when I was watching the Easter Beagle earlier, the kids were much better at delivering their lines. Like, oh, this isn't as good as the Christmas one. So anyway, that's my short list and my little homage to Vince for his great jazz soundtracks.
Yeah, without him, there wouldn't have been a Peanuts special.
Oh yeah, the music is just
any other music
incredible.
Being there.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
And Christmas time is here.
Yeah.
that wafting do do do
and the snow falling down.
I mean, that is Christmas.
And the ice skating. Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, and then chaos breaks out with Snoopy like dragging them with the blanket. And meanwhile, you still have the very nice, peaceful music while he throws them into a tree or something. I'm just like,
throws them in a tree, the snow falls off, and then you get the title.
The title comes up.
It's so endearing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. It's just. It's one of my favorite. I mean, just the music. It's the music.
Were you guys part of when we did the podcast on Christmas specials? We talked about Charlie Brown.
Yeah, both of us were here for that.
You were there, Tom. Shelley, you weren't with us.
I was on the one with the Christmas movies. I don't think I was on the one with the TV specials. Because we had a lot of talk about Die Hard.
The debate is Die Hard
is a Christmas movie.
It is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it has a Christmas tree or Christmas music, everything. So yeah, I mean, we could literally do a show on every one of these, almost every one of these, but especially the big two, Christmas and Halloween. And I think that Thanksgiving one for me has a special place because
I like that one.
The toast and popcorn, the fight with the lawn chair. I mean, there's just so many great. Yeah.
No, I love the cooking montage in that. It's really
it's awesome. Peppermint Patty's cluelessness. I mean,
it's funny you mentioned that because to me, those three, right? Christmas, Great Pumpkin, Thanksgiving are the ones that are prominent in my memory. And I went back and rewatched those three. Actually, I watched 4.5. I went back and watched those, and Thanksgiving didn't hold up for me. I mean, the fight with the chair was endearing. It was cute, but it went on a little too long. And then, the more I watched it, the more I was like, why did I like this one as a kid? And I can't explain it.
Well,
so that one
could be those original voices and original kind of just pieces of how the mid 60s and the way they did it for Christmas and Great Pumpkin was, I mean,
no, I'm talking about Thanksgiving. All over the place here, but this is like a stream of conscious. Yeah, I mean, Thanksgiving and maybe it was just because, well, it's something that's on. I mean, what other competition did it have?
Right.
And it was funny. But
I know the voices were different.
The voices were different is a big thing.
Yeah.
Right away, Charlie Brown and Linus. So, yeah.
The artwork is not as crisp. The sound is a little different in the mixing, but it's the artwork, because I went back, I watched Thanksgiving, then I went back and watched Christmas, because I watched them in holiday order. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas.
Holiday order.
And when you get,
which
when
is
you go,
only
when
proper,
you go from,
yeah.
right, and when you go from Halloween, or it's the Great Pumpkin, to Christmas, the artwork is impeccable. It's bright and crisp, and it has such depth in the colors, and that's what I noticed, because I put it in my notes that the artwork just wasn't quite the same.
Yeah.
And they almost tried a little too hard, but to me, it's those three are the trio. They're like the originals that are the standards. Yeah, and part of that is also the themes that they bring into it.
I think You're in Love, Charlie Brown was meant to be for Valentine's Day, but that one never took off like the two before it. That was 67, You're in Love.
Is that the one where he pulls the heart candy out of the bag and it says something like "Don't press your luck, kid" or something like that?
Something like that, yeah. I didn't rewatch that one, but from the cover art, I'm sure the red-haired girl had something to do with it. But that was, but then they were just, a couple of kind of just general ones before you got back to holidays with Thanksgiving and Easter and Arbor Day. So I think that's why, the replay of the ones during the holidays that you really remember. But the one thing about the Halloween one is as long as we're going in order, and that was first.
Yeah.
For the big
let's
three.
do that. Yeah, we can take them one at a time here.
Take one at a time. I know. I bounce it all over because it's so cool. But that she killed the pumpkin.
That gag made me crack up.
Yeah. Opener ever.
I didn't know you were going to kill it.
Kill it. Now, another thing to note about when you watch these, and I'm sure you guys realize this, is they're based off the original 3-panel strips.
Yes.
So you're watching this and you're basically seeing a live action. Here's the intro. Here's what happens. And here's the joke.
The punchline.
Every single time. Boom, 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 boom. And these are like original strips from whenever. And Charles just took those strips and then filled in the gaps and made a show out of it. And it's just really neat to see, because you get like every third beat, you get the gag. Every third beat, you get the gag. There's always some sort of payoff. And then you just go to something else. But the one with Halloween, I mean, they're all over the place. I once I dressed a couple of times as Charlie Brown with a sheet with a bunch of holes and a bag of rocks walking around. Yeah, that was just the best.
He gets 3
it's an easy costume
rocks.
to do. Yeah, he's like, I got rock. And I remember I was wearing it at a big one of those housing complex where all the houses are on top of one another and walking around, and the police would drive through once in a while to make sure the kids are behaving. And my friend's like, you better dump those rocks. He sees rocks in your bag. He's going to think you're throwing them. I'm like, oh gosh. So I emptied my bag out. This was back I think I was in junior high or something like that. We're older, and still trying to get candy. But I think the one thing that I love is the about the Halloween one is the trying to figure out what a sincere pumpkin patch is.
Yeah,
because your pumpkin patch has to be sincere
without hypocrisy.
I mean, here you are. I mean, we're adults. And we're educated and we've been around. I can't imagine what I was thinking when I was 7. A sincere. I even knew what sincere meant, much less what a sincere pumpkin patch is. He goes to the most sincere pumpkin patch and rises up, and gives toys. It was just. When I was rewatching that one, I'm like, oh, I forgot about the sincerity of the pumpkin patch. And
that's brilliant.
Okay, now I'll jump just a tiny bit, but I want to come back to Halloween or the Great Pumpkin. Yeah. I'm with you right there, Mike, because I don't remember understanding what it meant to be a sincere pumpkin patch then, or hypocrisy, not a shred of hypocrisy. I'm like, what is that?
That's Linus. I mean, he's a 80-year-old in a 6-year-old body.
And I also remember thinking the same thing about the Christmas special. I can remember being a kid and not understanding what it meant that Christmas was commercial, because to me, commercial was the advertisement on a television show. Or on the radio.
Yeah, it's too commercial. There's too many Christmas commercials. Is that the problem?
I didn't make the connection that Christmas has become commercial as a child. I didn't understand what that concept was, and it wasn't until I got older. Yeah, but we were talking about what do we think it means today that it's a sincere pumpkin patch,
right?
And I had to look up the definition. So I was telling Tom before the show, sincere, honest, pure, marked by genuineness, true. And then you flip over to hypocrisy, and that's feigning to be what one is not, or to believe what one does not, or behavior that contradicts what one claims to believe or feel. And that there got us into a discussion about, well, does that mean that because Sally is there and she believes and then she doesn't believe, does that introduce the hypocrisy that then makes the pumpkin patch less sincere?
Remember when he said, if he comes, he's like, and he covers his mouth?
Oh, yeah. And he's like,
I didn't mean it.
Oh, no.
I didn't mean it. You know, like, there's so many great lines of dialogue in the Halloween one. It has my favorite is when he's writing the letter to the Great Pumpkin and everybody's making fun of him. And even Charlie Brown starts making cracks at him. And Linus objects, saying, like, you know, well, you still believe in Santa Claus, the guy who goes ho, ho, ho. And Charlie Brown's like, we are obviously separated by denominational differences. Now, as a kid, that would have gone straight over my head. But as an adult, that cracks me up. It's my favorite line in the special.
Mike, that's a last panel line.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely is.
It was like you could sit there and pick out the last panels all over the place. And
these are so deep, too. I mean, when everybody's calling him crazy and not again. And Lucy's, you know, you're making me. How does it make me look that you believe in this?
Right.
How does it make you look? How does it make me look? And she's threatening
and how
him.
she takes care of him, too. I love, you know, everything she does. But how she goes back out and brings him in and covers him up.
Tucks him in.
You know, it's her little brother.
It's
and
the
she
perfect
takes care
balance
of him.
to the opening scene. The opening scene is a nonverbal montage of Linus and Lucy walking out. There's their music playing. They're walking out. They get the pumpkin. They roll it back. And it's the, you know. And then at the very end, again, we close with another nonverbal scene. He's out there. She wakes up. And after all of this, like you mentioned, she goes out there and takes care of him, puts him back in bed. Scene closed. Until Tom.
Until it's him and Charlie Brown at the wall. And he's like, you know, next year, Charlie Brown, you'll see, you know, and I'm just like, ugh.
Oh, it's great. It just keeps going. The credits are rolling.
Yeah, the credits are rolling. And
yeah. He keeps going and going and going.
See, Charles Schulz did it before Marvel.
Yeah.
He ran the little scene.
Yep.
Thing during the credits. And it fun about the ending. Now, see, I am a huge Ray Bradbury fan. And apparently when Ray Bradbury saw It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown on television, he was incensed at the ending. He's like, they broke the mystique of the Great Pumpkin. They debunked the Great Pumpkin. This is terrible. So he actually got in touch with an animator friend of his, and they made their own Halloween TV special, which I haven't seen, but it's called The Halloween Tree. And I just thought that's interesting that Bradbury was so upset by this movie that he had to go out and make a response to it.
You see that, but right in the whole mythology of the Great Pumpkin is the possibility that if your pumpkin patch isn't sincere enough, that's why he didn't pick it. Mm-hmm. So you have the out. You know, there's right, the you know, he didn't come because so yeah, it I don't think it debunked it at all. I think you still can think there's a Great Pumpkin because you can't disprove it. You know, you just say, well, I had the wrong pumpkin patch. Yeah, and when that looked like pretty sincere one to me.
We'll probably come back to this one when we get to Easter, because the Easter Beagle Charlie Brown parallels this one, the Great Pumpkin, in many ways. But and we've talked a bit about Thanksgiving already, but I just found Thanksgiving a little bit jarring. I liked it, but it was a little bit jarring watch because I think we've already said like the voices had changed by that point. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just liked it, especially the cooking montage. I thought it was brilliant.
Peppermint Patty is new too. I don't remember when he introduced her to the strips, but she obviously came in later in the 60s. Yeah. She was an addition, you know, and you might remember even much later, Linus and Lucy's little brother Rerun was even later addition to the whole Peanuts gang. But Franklin
is new to this one.
Yeah, Franklin, Marcy, and Peppermint Patty. And it's funny,
Right.
Peppermint Patty and Marcy are voiced by men in the strip, in the specials. But she gives a kind of gruffness that you didn't really have. That's different than Lucy. Lucy is just the tough, big, mean sister, and you know exactly what to expect from her. Peppermint Patty can be annoying because of her. She just doesn't get it. She's this tomboy. She calls, Charlie Brown Chuck. And Marcy is kind of like her Linus,
Yes,
walking around and really knows kind of what's going on, and calls Peppermint Patty sir.
Stop calling me sir.
Stop calling me sir. It's kind of like a joke. You're a tomboy and I call you sir, about the whole thing. But that might be a little bit, the jarringness or the kind of roughness of the specials that Peppermint Patty has a strong influence in.
Well, and Peppermint Patty was in The Great Pumpkin. She just had a little bit of a role in the beginning, but she had the monster mask on her face.
Okay. Yeah,
when
that's
they were
right.
trick-or-treating.
Okay.
They called her Patty.
But she did. But she wasn't nearly as dominant as she is in the other ones.
I think it's her first introduction. And the interesting thing is that in that one, she's voiced, where did I just see it? In that one, she's voiced by Lisa DeFaria. And it's funny because her brother Christopher is the one who did the voice in the Thanksgiving special.
Oh.
So it kind of stayed in the family.
That's interesting. Yeah, and she basically drives the plot of the Thanksgiving one.
Yes.
It's all in response to things she's doing. And even Charlie Brown has that sense. After he gets off, I think, his third phone call with her, he says, I feel like I'm losing control of the entire world. It's just a great line.
Yeah, she's the unstoppable force.
The phone just keeps ringing.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad's going out of town. He said, it's fine. I'm going to go over to your place. Okay, bye. Hangs up. And he's sitting there going, what just happened? Phone rings. Yeah, Marcy's right here. She's going to come too. Okay. And she hangs up. And Sally's like, you're just so wishy-washy or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the phone rings again. Hey, this kid Franklin that we know. He's like...
And Linus is like, why don't you just tell her? He's like, there's no talking to her.
You can't get a word in edgewise.
Yeah.
But leave it to Linus. He comes up with the solution. Just cook two dinners. Yeah. Well, I can make cereal and toast. Awesome. Let's go. And I think that's the first time we see Woodstock.
I think it is.
In a show. I don't remember Woodstock being in Great Pumpkin, or I know he's not in Christmas, but I don't know when Woodstock was introduced. Or if he was introduced prior to, because this one was the 1974.
Yeah, I wasn't watching for Woodstock. I was
73.
Paying attention to what Vince did. Giraldi, not poor Woodstock. I did notice he got a house in Easter Beagle.
Oh yeah. There's that whole subplot with the birdhouse. But I love how they come to the door, Woodstock and Snoopy, as pilgrims, and they're just so serious about it. And Charlie Brown's like, huh? What? Oh yeah, come in. And then their pop gun goes off and it's a whole thing. And Charlie Brown's like, come on, we got to make this dinner. So it's just you get this idea that it's sort of controlled chaos going on.
And he changes the music too. Did you notice there when they dress as pilgrims, the music stops.
Yeah.
And he goes and he gets the trunk. And then all of a sudden it's the same music, but it's done with a snare drum and a bugle. Like a very early colonial type of sound.
Yeah.
And he comes out with the blunderbuss, with the big flared muzzle. There's a couple of good fun things there. And I loved that in a kind of a nod toward using the Gospel of Luke to say what's Christmas all about. Linus stands up and he gives them what's Thanksgiving all about.
And he says grace. Yeah.
Yes, that he tells them, that 1621 held their first feast, invited the chief. He brought 90 of his braves, an abundance of food, and who were the guests, and who said the prayer. And then he said a prayer similar to Elder William Brewster. And it's kind of a solemn moment all of a sudden. Yeah. And then, of course, Snoopy starts dishing it out. Toast, popcorn, pretzels, jelly beans. And Peppermint Patty's like, what on earth? What blockhead did this? Where's the turkey? Where's this? Where's that? And Charlie Brown's just like, oh, And he leaves.
Yeah, he leaves. Like he's probably thinking in his head what he says outright in the Christmas special, which is everything I do turns into a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
everything I touch is ruined.
Good old Marcy.
Yeah.
She's just trying to, like you said, the conscious for Peppermint Patty.
That's right.
Did you get invited, sir, or did you invite yourself?
Oh,
yeah. Go apologize for me.
These adults were all up there going, that's right. You did that.
Go apologize for me. Yeah, I was just like, what?
You're better at that.
And this is, I think, the first one I remember hearing the grown-ups talk with their mwah, 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 mwah.
He calls his grandmother. Yeah. And I love how they all pile into that neat old station wagon, which is brilliant.
Yeah, that was cool.
That brought back so many memories.
Yeah, so many unsafe. Hey, we were fine back there,
Everybody did.
What? What's the big deal? Everyone did it. People didn't die. It was fine.
You rode backwards all the time. That old brown wood-paneled station wagon.
Yeah.
From the 60s,
that was
70s.
Great. How else are you going to go on vacation or give the ball club a ride home?
And don't you remember you'd pull your arm and make all the 18-wheelers honk as they passed, and your dad would be like, what's going on?
Yeah.
It was such a treat, though, to be able to ride in the very back with that rumble seat facing the back of the car.
Backwards, yeah,
exactly.
But we used to ride in vans like that, too. All of us just kind of sitting in the back. I don't know. No, and then there's singing.
We're digressing.
We're digressing, yeah. But it's like, but that's the thing. These movies bring up, no matter when you grew up, these movies just ooze childhood.
Yes.
Even though, like some of the characters act like they're grown-ups in children's bodies, the Peanuts just is childhood. Like, and it makes you think about what things were like as a kid, and it hits those nostalgia chords just brilliantly, and it's just not eternal. What's the word I'm thinking of? It's timeless.
Timeless.
It's evergreen. It's timeless.
It's timeless. Yeah. And when you hear Sally talk about how she missed out on tricks or treats, I missed out, and you're as a kid like, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she's a whole nother year. She's not going to have any candy. That was a big deal.
Yeah, because we didn't get candy in between. You got candy at the movie theater, and you got candy at Halloween, and in your Easter basket, and sometimes you get candy at Christmas. Although I remember nuts. We'd get, my mother would have a big bowl of walnuts and almonds and pecans, and a nutcracker, and we'd crack all nuts.
Right, yeah. Or like a gingerbread house or something.
Yes. When you said that tricks or treats come only once a year, you owe me restitution. I love the way Linus turns and he looks almost deadpan, says, "You've heard of fury and a woman scorned? That's nothing compared to a woman who's been cheated out of tricks or treats."
The end panel joke right there.
Oh my God. Yep.
But did you also notice the kind of candy they got in their bags? They would say, I got this. I got a popcorn ball. I got a candy apple. I got gum. I got cookies. I got money. I got a rock.
I got a rock.
I got a fudge bar. I mean, now, it's which house gives out the good candy, the chocolate, and which house gives out the Smarties.
Yeah. Which house gives out I don't know, the coupons from McDonald's or something, I want candy. I don't want a free French fry.
And everybody knows where the dentist lives.
I feel like I got those a couple of times.
Yeah. Or an apple or something like what?
Yeah.
You can't give an apple in this day and age. Nope.
So another good part was when Snoopy scared Linus so badly in the pumpkin patch that he fainted. And then he wakes up and is like, did I miss him? Was he here? Did he leave his presents? And Sally just wants to kill him.
I love that.
Yeah, it was great.
And of course, we can't forget that Snoopy the whole time has been pretending to be World War I flying ace. Because he dresses up as that
with camel.
With camel, the plane, and I just love those segments.
Was great. I mean, the way he's shooting at things and looking around and stuff and up and down with his house and the whole thing was And
it was
at
brilliant.
the end, saluting,
saluting. He makes everyone
out.
else salute him, which is funny. And or the thing where he's crawling through enemy territory and stuff.
Yeah.
And you see the trenches, like the trench warfare.
Oh yeah.
And the music on that one too, though, you get it's a timpani. I think you get that drum, that big boom, 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 boom.
Right.
And then Charlie Brown's narrating it.
I had it on 8-track. My mother got me a whole Peanuts music, and it had a whole thing about like a World War I flying ace. It was like sounded like a 1940s broadcast, or excuse me, this would have been a teens broadcast for World War I, and it had a whole song about Christmas time and stuff like that. Christmas bells.
That song's on the radio when they do Christmas bells. Christmas bells.
They had that one because where Snoopy and the Red Baron had met together and made a truce for Christmas and different. I remember my mother got me 8-track and I'm like, what is this? I had no idea what I was listening to. It was so weird, but I ended up loving it, of course. So I don't know. Should we move on to the 70s?
Yes. Yeah. The Easter Beagle.
The Easter Beagle.
This may be the one that doesn't work for me because it is so much a response to The Great Pumpkin, because it's basically the same story. You have Linus, who is obsessed with this character, the Easter Beagle, who he believes is going to essentially do the function of the Easter Bunny, bring colored eggs and all that stuff. But it sort of undoes the ending of It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, because instead of Linus being disappointed, he actually sort of gets to meet the Easter Beagle because Snoopy impersonates the Easter Beagle, picks all of the eggs that Lucy has hidden, and distributes them to everyone.
Or is Snoopy actually the Easter Beagle?
Oh, okay.
You never know.
Yeah. I mean, he's a World War I flying ace and an astronaut. He could be the Easter Beagle.
Easter Beagle is nothing. I love how I don't think anyone else has tried to say that Christmas decorations go up at Easter. That was quite the early. I mean, I could see like it's August or something, but they have the Christmas stuff is out in Easter in the stores. Right. And of course he runs out of eggs, and Charlie Brown has such a happy, excited face that he's going to get an egg from his own dog, and then
he doesn't have any
for him. And of course we have Sally. Still Linus is obsessed with the Easter Beagle, and Sally's obsessed with Linus. It's a good
and she brings
triangle.
it up. She's like, "This is going to be Halloween all over again."
Oh yeah. This is a sequel, I think, for sure.
Although and it was interesting because I feel like this was the one I was waiting for them to bring up the religious element, and they did not. In the Easter special, they say,
I know, really, Easter.
Yeah, they say, "Oh, Charlie Brown, the meaning of Easter is renewal and the beginning of spring." And I'm like, "What?"
What?
I'm like,
yeah.
Maybe he just couldn't fight the executives anymore. Maybe because apparently he had to fight to get the gospel into the Christmas special. Maybe he just couldn't get it past the suits this time. But
it would have been a bigger, the Christmas one, as we've seen since then, there's been a lot of there's the Little Drummer Boy and other things, and every year it still is, everyone's Christian all of a sudden on TV, even though they talk about it as not being politically correct. You still get that stuff here and there. But it's a little bit more difficult to talk about the resurrection of Jesus. It's just not as universal. So he may have they may have just said, "Listen, you can do it, but don't even think about it." And he could have not done it. Maybe it took a while. Maybe he's like, "Okay, fine, I won't do it." And then finally said, "Oh, what the heck? I'll do it without the religious." I have no idea. I'd have to look it up. I didn't research it. And because I was watching it too, because I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember if there was one. I wasn't sure, and I'm like, oh, no religious thing there. So I didn't have a chance to look up to see if there was any story about it or not. Do you guys remember Snoopy Come Home? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I don't want to.
Oh no, I was just going to mention that another thing that was interesting about the Easter one was the kind of funky soundtrack that it had. The music was really different.
Yeah, I was surprised that Vince Guaraldi did it. It was definitely different from a lot of his other stuff, but that was his second last one before the Arbor Day one. But maybe it was just kind of, we're getting into the disco 70s.
Yeah.
It was a decade later, from almost a full decade since.
And all of Woodstock's furniture in his birdhouse is very, hip 70s, like kind of furniture. That was great. Shelly, did you see the Easter one, or was that one of the ones you didn't rewatch?
No. And I'm trying to remember if I've ever seen it. While y'all are talking about it, I'm thinking that maybe I saw it when I was a kid, but it's not. Easter to me does not have any memory of Peanuts. Easter for me is all Wizard of Oz. It was the only time of the year that the Wizard of Oz was shown on TV. Huh. This is pre-VHS.
It's definitely not as big as the big three with Thanksgiving, Halloween, and Christmas. I don't know if it got picked up as much as far as being shown during Easter time.
Yeah.
I have no idea, but I think the Thanksgiving one and Halloween and Christmas were just staples for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if Halloween still comes. I mean, I haven't really looked. Christmas will still be shown every year on some broadcast.
Yeah, well, because
Apple owns it now, and so I was actually.
Oh, then maybe they just do it, or they rent it out. I don't know.
And I don't think this is going to come out in the next 2 or 3 days, but I did just read that Apple TV has the rights. They're going to make it free to non-subscribers for 2 or 3 days.
Halloween, the Great Pumpkin.
Great Pumpkin will be available to non-subscribers October 28th through the 31st.
See, I was watching them as mini videos on YouTube, they just string them together.
Oh, okay.
I don't have Apple, so that's how I did it.
Yeah, I don't have Apple either. I have these three. Actually, I have the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. I have the Thanksgiving special. I have the This Is America, the Mayflower Voyage. I have the Christmas special, and then I started watching it. It was like, I just couldn't do it. It was just that blah. It was like a holiday thing, like a Christmas holiday. It was made in the 2000s. Christmas Tales or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't watch it. It was just way too different. And you can't go from the purity of that 1965 Christmas special to something that somebody threw together with an early computer. It just,
no.
So,
yeah, it's like, and I don't have my old VHS tapes anymore. So I had to watch them all, which I had Apple. So I'm like, okay, I can watch these. But then I saw there was like Apple has, it doesn't have like the whole catalog, but there's like over 20 of them. I'm like, wow, there's a lot here. I'm like, I'm just going to focus on the holiday ones, except they don't have, Mike, you mentioned Snoopy Come Home. Apple doesn't have that. They don't have Bon Voyage, Charlie Brown. They don't have, what's the other one called? Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown. They don't have that either.
Uh-huh.
So let's some of the longer ones. Snoopy Come Home. I think they actually showed us that in school when I was really little. Yeah.
Yeah, that was 72.
I've seen it. I'm reading the description and I know I've seen it. I just don't think I've seen it since that.
The plot is that they find out that Snoopy had an owner before Charlie Brown. It's this girl, and he meets her, and she's really great, and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And so I think she's sick, and then she gets well. Is that how it goes? Mm-hmm. And she's better, and she wants, and so he feels this obligation. This beagle, this dog, feels this obligation to her, but he really doesn't want to leave Charlie Brown. And the ending, to ruin it for you, is he sees that, and this is like a trope throughout the whole show, this no dogs allowed. Throughout the entire movie. It's really kind of, I think it's longer than an hour, I think, that her apartment where she lives, there's no dogs allowed. So he triumphantly goes back to Charlie Brown and is all happy again.
Yeah, I think this was also a storyline that they adapted from the strips, because I'm pretty sure I've seen that, where he goes to visit his former owner. It was ill. Like, I think I remember that. From
he
the
went
strips.
to see, I don't know how, was it the Daisy Hill Puppy Farm? Where he
Daisy Hill Puppy Farm. And all his siblings are great.
He had a brother, like Rex.
Oh, he has a couple of brothers. He has
one with a mustache. There's one with like this
Spike
big
is the skinny one in the desert.
Yes.
And then there's this fat one. I don't remember his name. Spike is the skinny one.
There's a polka dotted one.
Yeah, there's the heavier one is like this like hick somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't remember him. I don't remember his name. But they would have whole weeks where it was just Spike and talking to cactuses.
Yeah.
It's like Charles Schulz is just I gotta think of different things to do here.
Yeah, I would know all their names because like
I can't keep on giving new kids.
Okay, here we go. Spike. Oh wait, I clicked on something and it's loading.
now you see, I have.
Don't you hate that?
I have the Peanuts character encyclopedia on my shelf behind me, but I'm not gonna walk over and get it.
It's Snoopy, Spike, and Spike is the one I'm remembering. Is the hat and
Skinny
the mustache.
one, yeah.
Andy, that looks just like Snoopy, but with a sheepdog kind of look.
Andy, yeah.
Olaf, which
He's
is
the big
big
one.
heavy one with a blue cap. And then I'm guessing there's Marbles and Belle.
He's the polka
Marbles.
dotted one, I think.
Marbles, yeah. Isn't Marbles a little crazy? I don't know.
And then Rover and Molly. Now, I don't know any of these others. I know Spike. I don't know if I've seen Spike in... It's got to be the comic strips that I'm seeing. That I'm having this memory of him. Man, I wish I could find the box that has all my old comic books in it.
I think there's another, because there's Snoopy Come Home, but then there's another one based on Snoopy's reunion or something like that, where he gets reunited with his whole litter of siblings.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember seeing that one.
There are a lot
I probably
more.
found the same thing you did. You have his papa and mom in this little family tree. And then with Snoopy, you got Spike, Olaf, Spike, Andy, Olaf, Marbles, and Belly. I don't see
Belle.
Molly. Belle. Okay.
Belle. Yeah.
It's a little hard to read because it's not coming up super clear. But my first that I remember, and I still have them somewhere, bedspread curtain set that my mom got and sewed for me was Peanuts full of Snoopy.
Aw.
The whole bedspread. So I was an early, and I remember I had a Snoopy, still do have it somewhere, like in the basement, a Snoopy plush that because his neck is the smallest part of the dog, it started ripping because of playing with it and stuff. And my great grandmother moved in with us and she sewed it back together for me.
I have a Snoopy plush in my 11-year-old now son's bedroom that is still in the basket that he doesn't play with anymore, but it's in the basket. And mom just hasn't boxed him up or given him away. He has a Charlie Brown. And then I still have our Peanuts bed sheets.
There is a Peanuts themed park in the upper, let's say northwestern part, a Peanuts themed theme park.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. You can't see
this. To my wife's chagrin, I had to get the big plush.
Yeah, Mike is showing us this giant
4-foot
plush.
big plush Snoopy.
I'm showing a huge, and he's just so soft.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Awesome.
Mike, you were saying that you had a bedspread. I was saying that I still have my Peanuts bed sheets, the twin bed sheets that I had probably in the mid to late 70s. So it's baseball themed. It's Charlie Brown on the baseball mound.
Sure.
Yep.
Oh gosh, we could talk. We didn't. I mean, that was a theme of some of the different ones that they would do with. They weren't ever in the holiday because there wasn't baseball.
Right.
Even in the Easter one, they really didn't do it. But there was definitely specials where the whole thing was themed around Charlie Brown, pitching and never winning and getting a home run slammed, and he would spin around and all his clothes would fly off and he'd be sitting in his shorts, and Snoopy was the shortstop and
Patty was the captain of the other team.
yeah, she killed him up. Yeah.
It is funny, isn't it, though, how many things you can't remember if you saw them in the comic strips or if you saw them actually in a moving cartoon, because it's just so prevalent. And especially, I think, for us growing up, it just always was. It was always there. And I kind of feel that this generation, all these generations will never know the thrill of going to the Sunday comics and pulling out that colored comic section.
Yep.
Or even the daily. Dad, are y'all done? Are you done with that?
Are you done, Dad? Yeah.
Are you done? Can I read my comics before I go to school?
I mean, they're still released in newspaper. They re-released all the stuff and went through them in newspapers. So you could still find Peanuts in the newspaper. It's just you have to
find a newspaper.
Yeah, well, you have to find a newspaper, but then you can also try to find the original like date in one of the panels to see if you can find when it was. And if they redid it, if some of the panels may be redone for that date, then you'd have to go look it up, which would be really hard. But they did redo, and it was fun because you can't remember. I don't even know if they were, they could have been redoing ones from the 60s and 70s, and I wouldn't have a clue. So they had a lot of material.
Can you believe
but it's nice.
The last comic strip was on February 13th, 2000. It's been 22 years.
Yeah, the last one.
Since New Peanuts. Yeah.
And
it was
Charles
February
passed
22nd?
away February 12th. No, Charles Schulz passed away on February 12th. And the last appearance was the day after, February 13th.
Yeah. It was
right after my birthday.
Wow.
I'm
and it wasn't like he was sick or anything. It was kind of sudden, and wasn't it? It wasn't like he was retired. He was planning on retiring. Imagine having to produce a strip every day of your life for 30 some years, and to always be
coming up with new material.
Yeah, constantly. Yeah. And then okay, I'm done, and you die.
77 years old.
Yeah,
it's like it's just fitting that Peanuts passes with him. It's just, and I've liked some of the things they've done since. I liked the theatrical Peanuts movie from a few years ago. I thought was just really heartfelt and really great.
2015 that came out.
2015, right? Everything pre-COVID is kind of like a blur now. But it's like, but yeah, I remember coming out of the theater seeing that, and I had a big stupid grin on my face as they had the theme song playing, and I'm just like, this is the best movie I've seen all year. And I was like, because it just brought up all those fantastic memories of seeing the specials on TV and reading strips. I
think I saw that one in the theater also. I think we went with another couple, and we did dinner and a movie together. And but my son loves it. He still has it on the DVR, and he plays it.
Oh, great!
Not all the time, because right now Harry Potter is all the time. But he still plays it. He's
hit the Harry Potter age.
Oh, he's got older sisters. He's been in the Harry Potter age.
Oh, okay.
So, Mike had mentioned that he didn't. One of you mentioned it, that didn't think that Charles was ill, but he did have colon cancer.
Oh, okay.
And he died in his sleep.
Oh, well, but what a way to go out to saying like I'm to have Peanuts pass with you and to leave this legacy. I mean, Peanuts is going to go on
forever.
Yeah,
forever. I mean. I can't imagine it not being there. I guess we'd have to go. I mean, my children know about it. My older children are early 20s, and they know it because I raised them on it, and my son knows it because I raised him on it. So
and Snoopy
is it presumptuous for me to think that others are just raising their kids on it too?
I hope so. I mean, like Snoopy. If any of the characters survives, it'll be Snoopy. He's an icon. He's essentially Mickey Mouse, but he's that tier level of internationally recognized cartoon character. Like, right.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so could we do we have any others to talk about, or could we do a lightning round where we ask the questions and shoot them out?
I have some interesting questions for you guys. Okay, go. All right, so. This is kind of a triple question, and I guess it's the same question but in three parts. First is who's your favorite Peanuts character? Okay, so you want me to go first and then Mike? Yeah, Shelly, you can go first. Okay, so favorite Peanuts character, I have to go with my first gut reaction is Charlie Brown, and then I say Linus, and then I say Charlie Brown, and then I say Linus. And it's hard to say. I know a lot of people are going to say Snoopy out there, but I really think it's I'll go with Charlie Brown. And what? No, Linus. But that's a Charlie Brown move.
I have to go with definitely Linus, but two close runner-ups, Snoopy and Pigpen. Pigpen kind of makes you want to treat me with more respect, doesn't it? It's just you know.
Yeah.
But Pigpen is just kind of you know, just a cool background character that you really like. Like every time he, when at the end of the Christmas special, every time he moves to sing, his dust like crusts up again. like he's like so crusted.
I shall do my very best to keep it clean in. Neat and tidy.
So anyway, that's my
neat
favorite.
and tidy.
Pigpen, you are the only person I know who can raise a cloud of dust in a snowstorm. I would. My answer might be a little bit cliche, but I'm going to go with Snoopy. But my reason is because Snoopy is a writer like me. And I love my favorite thing, and I should really have it above my writing desk, is a picture of Snoopy at his typewriter typing "It's a dark and stormy night." And because he keeps going, he keeps trying to finish that book. He keeps getting rejected. But it's like, you know, he just keeps doing it. He doesn't care whatever. And Lucy always comes up with "You're never going to finish that book." And it's like, he just keeps doing it. I just love, to me, Snoopy just represents the power of imagination, because whatever he wants to be, he is. He's a fighter pilot. He's an astronaut. He's Joe Cool. He's, you know, he's whoever he wants to be. And I just think that's brilliant.
And he apparently has a mansion for a doghouse. Like, it's really
right.
huge in there.
It's the TARDIS. Yeah. It's bigger on the inside. You know, he's a Time Lord. A different SQPN show. Yeah,
but it was the Halloween special where they introduced him finding the typewriter and everything. And right, was it that? They are all a blur. I was watching.
I don't remember.
Were they showing that, or was it another one? I was wondering. No, it wasn't Halloween. What was I watching where he found? It may have been something. Maybe I got into something else. I know I did. I watched him. He found the typewriter and he was like testing it out. And then that's when he decided to pretend to be like writing a novel. And so anyway. And
it's funny, y'all, you said Snoopy, right? Snoopy comes up. But when you ask the question, I'm always thinking of the human characters. I just thought that was interesting.
And you think that it's called Charlie Brown. Like a lot of people have to think for a moment and remember Peanuts. You think like, oh, the Charlie Brown comic. Yeah, Charlie Brown. You know,
the Charlie Brown comic. Yeah, it's like everyone knows that.
But it's called Charlie Brown Christmas Special.
Yeah, it's always Peanuts. It's always those are the titles and stuff. But I think Charlie Brown and Snoopy are actually probably higher in the consciousness of people than the actual title Peanuts for the strip.
Definitely. And the next one is going to be fun, and don't feel pressured to answer if you don't want to, but it's a 2-part question. Which Peanuts character do you think is the most like you, and who do other people say you are the most like? Because that might be 2 different characters. Okay,
so I would like to say I think I'm a lot like Charlie Brown. I think I'm kind of a blockhead. Everything I touch sometimes just falls apart, and that self-deprecating, I can't do it kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I think if depending on who you ask, somebody would tell you I'm Linus because I'm always telling people what's what, or more likely Lucy because I am the bossy older sister, and my sister Lisa would tell you that all day long and twice on Sunday.
What about you, Mike?
I don't know if he has a name. I'm looking it up right now to see if there actually is a name for this kid. Yeah, he's the one who says every year, no matter what, Shermie. I'm Shermie because he's just the kid in the background that no one really notices. Like because you have to think of like when you're a kid, like who were you? And I didn't do enough to mess up as much as Charlie Brown. He's just so central, and I bathed. So I wasn't Pigpen. I mean, I didn't bathe a lot, but I can't be Lucy or any of the girls. So I think Shermie, I'm just this kid in the background that no one's really paying a lot of attention to.
And you don't play the piano, or you could be Schroeder.
I can't be Schroeder. No, I'm not no good at the piano.
And I believe Shermie in the strips was Charlie Brown's original sidekick before Linus.
Oh, really? Oh, well, then you see, I got sloughed off. I got replaced by Linus. And I'm definitely not smart enough to be Linus. I'm not as like well put together, and no way. Linus, and his security blanket and everything,
And do other people say you're Shermie, or do they say you're somebody else?
Oh gosh, I don't know. They might say I'm Linus just because they would associate because I have the theology degree, and I'm I've been professional catechist for 20 some years, and so they might say that, but I would feel really complimented, like really flattered if I was compared to Linus.
I definitely identify a lot with Charlie Brown, just because I often have so many of the self-defeating thoughts that he has. Everything I touch gets ruined. Everything I do turns into a disaster. He has that streak of depression that I really identify with, and just
even like as a kid who gets depressed when Christmas comes around. It's like, that's such an adult
I'm not
thing.
that extreme, but it's like, and especially as I got older, I just identified with Charlie Brown more. I think though the people around me would probably, I've been told I'm like Linus, but like you, Mike, I find that like too complimentary.
Yeah.
But although I did have a security blanket as a kid that I took, and a stuffed toy that I took everywhere and would just like squeeze by the throat until the head was almost going to come off.
Yeah.
Just because we are so endeared to Linus doesn't mean other people are. They might see him as too much of a know-it-all.
I don't know. I suppose he might, but I think he only really says anything when he's asked. I mean, he doesn't push himself, but I don't know. Yeah, I just find him so endearing. It's the second pope is Saint Linus,
That's right, Saint Linus.
And it's because of Linus Van Pelt that I can remember that the second pope is Linus. Otherwise,
we need to bring that back. Next pope needs to be Pope Linus II.
Come on, Linus. Yeah, that would be. And then you could his inauguration. You could play Linus and Lucy. He's coming up. Yeah.
And his Christmas audience, he can do the whole Gospel of Luke. That's what Christmas is all about.
The whole Vatican nativity display, they could all be Charlie Brown characters.
Charlie Brown characters. I have that. I have a little miniature of the nativity.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, of course they made it. That reminds me.
I have a Hallmark ornament that's Charlie Brown nativity. Well, it's the nativity set, and it turns, and each day counts down to Christmas.
Oh, okay. No, I just have little figurines. They fall over real easy. But we have that little thing. We have the Charlie Brown Christmas tree with the red ornament that makes it tip.
Peanuts merchandise is huge.
Ours
in fact,
is a stand.
they make a joke about it in the Christmas special where, and I heard that Charles Schulz himself put this joke in to make fun of the advertising syndicate that had bought the rights to all of Peanuts merchandise. It's when Lucy says, "Come on, Charlie Brown. Everyone knows Christmas is a big commercial racket. It's run by a big Eastern syndicate, And then he put that in there to make fun of the fact that he had sold the rights to the Peanuts merchandise to some huge syndicate that made him bajillion dollars off of it.
Bajillion dollars.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got another question?
No, those are really the questions that I wanted to cover. Okay. Yeah. Do you guys have any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
We didn't talk about one of the other specials that I really liked, and that was This Is America, the Mayflower story. And I just wanted to mention that it was out there because it was released in 1988, and it is pretty much a straight, 22 minutes with the commercials. Animated story of the Mayflower crossing, told in a fairly accurate way. And it's got Charlie Brown, and he's dressed like a pilgrim, except he's got the iconic yellow shirt. And Lucy is, with the cap and everything's, they're all there. There were some of the 30 children that survived the passage. But I love it because they did it in partnership, I think, with the Plymouth Plantation. But in this crazy time when who knows what history is real anymore, this is still very much in line with a lot of the history that I learned and a lot of the history that I've read. So pre-2020, this is our pre-2000, or, so it's as I remember it. And I just love the way that they do it. And it's just very simple and straightforward. Yeah. So I just wanted to give that one a shout out, that if you want to do a down and dirty, real quick study of the Mayflower and the first Thanksgiving, go watch This Is America, Charlie Brown, The Mayflower Voyage.
That sounds great. I'll have to watch that, actually. I'm a big history buff, so I should be interested in that. What about you, Mike? Were there any we didn't cover that you wanted to shout out briefly?
No, I mean, there's so much. The dancing, the iconic dancing that's been imitated from the Christmas special that they would all go into the different things. But also, I use that GIF all the time. Yeah, on social media. The other thing that I was thinking of, just going back to Vince Guaraldi, right? Shelly Guaraldi. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I can't remember his name, but you can hear. At least I can remember when the show with Christmas special started. You can hear the needle hit the vinyl. It's like, you can just,
really?
Like, I feel like you can. I could be wrong. It could be something they kept in the soundtrack that I listened to, but I can almost hear the pop of like the little static pop before it starts. I could be totally. I don't know where I'm getting it from, but I got to go back and listen to both the song on my on my phone and the actual special to see if they kept that original kind of, that so many people like, the vinyl sound to the music. I'm not sure.
God, you're making me nostalgic right now.
I know. Can you hear it though? Can you?
Yes. As soon as you said, I'm like, wait, is that on? Is that on the? I got to go back to Spotify.
Yeah, I know. It's got to be. It's not like I'm remembering it from when I was 11. It's got to. I think it's got to be somewhere.
Or am I just remembering because we still play vinyl from time to
time? But that's it for me.
No, that's great. And we could talk all night here about Peanuts. But for now, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make this show possible, including Joseph F., Michael K., Josh P., Leslie H., and Jeff V. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give help us to continue to create the secrets of movies and TV shows and all the shows here at StarQuest. You can join them at sqpn.com/give. So that's it from us for this time. We'd love to hear from you. Please let us know what's your favorite Peanut special and why. What's your favorite character? You can contact us at sqpn.com/secrets or on our Facebook page or on Twitter, or you can send an email to secrets@sqpn.com. And you can also visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/discord. Until next time, Mike Denz, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of Peanuts.
This was great. And it was funny when you first introduced it. I'm like, not the shelled peanuts. That would have been a really disappointing show. Because you said, we're talking about the secrets of peanuts. Do you like salted? Do you like...
Mr. Peanut.
All right, Mr. Peanut.
The secret of Mr. Peanuts will be a different special.
Yeah, sorry to go off on that. I just...
Shelly Kelly.
This was great fun.
No, yeah, this was brilliant. And Shelly Kelly, thank you as well.
Thank you, Tom. And as Linus says, never jump into a pile of leaves with a wet sucker.
Brilliant line.
Yeah, and panel. Another end panel.
End panel. And once again, I'm Thomas Salerno, and thank you for listening to the secrets of movies and TV shows on StarQuest.
Here's another show on the StarQuest Network you're sure to enjoy. Let's Science. Find the show wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/science.